What's a dream you've given up on? One that you've grieved over for so long that it feels like it's gone for good? What if it wasn't? Hi friends, I'm Casey Page and welcome to This Unfolding Life, a 10-week podcast series where we explore the life stories and creative process behind the songs on my upcoming album. Each week we'll explore where a song came from, how it grew, and what it might have to say for your own life. Last week I asked the question, what if you could? What if you believed that the dream inside of you is really possible? This week we're beginning our journey through the songs on the album, starting with the first track, New Tree Growin from the Old Dead Root. This song actually began 7 years before I even wrote it, during a trip to Malaysia. At that time in my life, my future seemed so uncertain. It felt like the ground beneath me was shaking and that my understanding of my life and the expectations I had had for my life up till that point were crumbling all around me. I had no idea what was next for me. I had no job and I didn't know what next steps to take. And in the middle of all of this difficulty, I found myself halfway around the world in Malaysia. Thankfully, I was with a really great group of people. One day, our group leader invited us into a spiritual exercise. Go outside, find something in nature, and spend time with that item, whatever it is. Pay attention. Notice the small details of it, if it's a leaf or a rock or the ground or a tree. And see what message that object might have to share with you for the day. I walked outside of the hotel where we were staying and I saw a dying bush. And I got curious about it, so I started to draw closer. And as I paid attention, I was surprised to see that there was this bright, tiny little green shoot sticking up out of the base of this dying bush. And as soon as I saw that new little growth, the thought came into my mind, all of your future is in that tiny little shoot. It was as if a voice inside of me was saying, yes, your whole world is crumbling right now. It's all right to let those things go. The future is uncertain. However, there's something new beginning. And all of your future, all of your possibility, all of your hope can be put in this tiny new thing that I'm growing within you. That tiny shoot did not feel dependable, but in the midst of everything, I felt invited to trust that my future was safe in whatever this new thing would become. Fast forward to early 2024. I had just come back to songwriting after a long time of believing that dream had died. And now I felt ready to write some songs that would become my first album in over 20 years. It was a daunting task. I hadn't made an album since I was 16 years old, and now I was 38. There was so much expectation building up to this moment of deciding, yes, I'm going to write these songs for an album. How do I write the songs that are going to say what needs to be said about the life that I've lived up to this point and that are going to encapsulate and reflect the musician, the artist that I have become today? What's my style even going to be like? Is it going to be similar to when I was younger or different? These were all creative questions I was holding within me, and they all carried a lot of weight. One day, in the middle of all that worrying and heavy expectation I had placed on myself, a song idea came to me. I happened to just be standing by my dining room table. I'll always remember right where I was. I think that I was cleaning. Out of the blue, this line rushed through my mind. There's a new tree growing from the old dead root. I started singing a melody that didn't even turn out to be the melody that this song has. But I started singing and then more words came. I hear the freedom song. I hear the ringing bell. I see a new page turning. And those words gave me chills because they were echoes of a song that was really important to me in my childhood. It was one of my dad's favorite folk songs called If I Had a Hammer. And it was a song that my mom and my dad and I would sing all the time when I was younger. It's a song about change and community and making the world better. And it uses the imagery of ringing the bell of freedom. As that first inspiration came to me, I knew I had a song that would be really important to me, because this song would refer back to this important time in my life when I received that word, all of my future is in the tiny little shoot. It had that truth in it, and it would also carry the history of my family, the folk songs that we loved, and how much fun we had singing together. I actually have the recording of me singing the first idea for this song, New Tree Growin, and it's even dated January 14th, 2024. The melody is not what it ended up becoming. It was just my initial thought, and here it is. Here we go.
There's a new tree growing from the old dead root. New thing There's a new tree growing from the old dead root.
Well, there it is. Right after that, I had the idea for the chorus. I rushed to the piano and started banging out this idea. I'm going to play this one for you too. I was just super excited as I sang this, so I was really loud and I was just letting myself go. So here we go.
I hear the freedom song, I hear the ringing bell, I see a new page turning, I can't be the Bible read.
Totally don't know the other words then. When you don't know the words yet and you need to keep working on a song, you just sing a bunch of mumbo jumbo, everybody. If you'd like to hear the full song, you can click here and watch a lyric video. Or you can go into my show notes and there's a link there where you can listen to the song on all streaming platforms. Well, we've all had dead roots in our lives. Places of disappointment, grief, or loss. A woman who heard me play this song called them dead root seasons. And I thought that was a great way of putting it, how life can feel sometimes like a dead root season. For years, I felt like I was in a dead root season with my music. I started writing songs at about 13, and by the time I was 17, I had released an album, booked myself at over 100 gigs at churches, youth groups, and music festivals. My parents and I had driven all over the country, going to different events, and I loved everything about being a singer-songwriter. I loved writing the songs, performing them, traveling, going to different places, meeting new people. I loved the whole thing. So I decided after I graduated high school to go to the promised land for songwriters, Nashville. I enrolled in college at Belmont University, which is known for its music program. I thought that I would find my place at Belmont, but unfortunately, that's not what happened. The only person who really believed in me was my classical voice professor, but in the contemporary scene at the school, I was invisible. After 2 years of struggling and feeling like I was banging on a lot of closed doors, I decided to leave. So at 20 years old, I left Nashville, convinced that I had failed. I had gone to the big leagues and I couldn't make the cut. Now, I know you can't really fail at 20 years old. That's a little bit young to be failing. But at the time, I didn't have the confidence to push through and to believe in myself when not a lot of other people did. I put so much weight on those professors' opinions of me that I gave them the power to decide whether or not I was good enough. And I gave them the power to decide whether or not I did anything with music and songwriting at all. So I walked away from writing my songs and sharing them with people for a really long time. And that was my dead root. I invite you to name your own dead root today. Maybe it's a place of disappointment in your life, or grief, or perhaps a season of life that just feels lifeless. Dead roots deserve to be mourned, witnessed, acknowledged, named. And we can't rush through that grieving process. But at the same time, I'd like to acknowledge the possibility today that something new might be growing underneath the surface. What if love itself, which some of us call God, is always speaking something good and new into our lives, even while grieving with us over what we've lost? What if nothing is ever really dead? What if everything is just being transformed into something new? I'm going to close today with a quiet practice and sharing a bit of my song with you. So if you can, I invite you to close your eyes. And I invite you to imagine a dead root in the middle of a forest, dried, weathered, gray. And I invite you to bring to mind whatever in your life you feel is represented by that dead root. What in your life feels like a dead root right now? Or what is your dead root season? I invite you to name that for yourself. And in the middle of that dead, gray, withered root, I invite you to imagine a bright, new, vibrant, green shoot pushing itself out of the cracks of the dead wood. And it's beginning to grow, to flourish, and to become something new. And if that little shoot could speak, I invite you to imagine what it would say to you. What encouragement would it share? What new hope, new purpose, new possibility would it whisper into your life? And as you imagine that encouraging word, I invite you to breathe it in. And to keep breathing in those good words and that good encouragement until you feel full of life, full of hope, full of new possibility. Feel free to open your eyes. Here's a bit of my song, New Tree Growin' from the Old Dead Root. There's a new tree growing from the old dead root. There's a new life slowly breaking into view. Where the leaves had faded, withered, and died, there's a vibrant green awakening inside. I hear the freedom song, I hear the ringing bell, I see a new page turning, and all is well. So I will beat the drum and join the reverie. I will surrender to the whirlwind of hope in me. Thanks so much for spending this time with me. Next week, we'll talk about the story behind the second track on my album, Little Girl in the Woods. Until then, may you begin to notice a new tree growing from the old dead root in the midst of your beautiful, unfolding life. See you soon.